Virgo, your July 2025 monthly forecast begins with the Sun in the part of your chart to do with your connections, your network, your friendships, your highest hopes, forging a stunning link with Mars in your sign. The significance of this is in all those areas you can take a central role. So if you want to be more assertive, more action orientated, or more self-confident, you're going to find the world is ready for it as you go into this month. Just be aware, however, that your ruler Mercury is going to go into a retrograde on the 18th of this month. It does start July, just entering its pre-retrograde shadow. So even though you can be very dynamic at the very start of July, just be conscious of what the deeper motivations are that you have. And you could find yourselves at moments this month, but particularly through the last third of July, just needing to have a few more moments to yourself. But I don't feel that's going to be the case at the start of July, because Uranus, which has been pushing and prompting you for some time now to step outside your comfort zone, forges an amazing link with Venus through the first week of the month, and that could give you the confidence, really, together with Mars in your sign, to be a lot braver when it comes to your social interaction, but perhaps also your love life. If there is someone who has been really captivating you, you might take the step forwards to get to know them better. But then again, something could happen completely spontaneously. But you know, the converse can be true, Virgo. If you're in a relationship which you feel has become very, very dull, it's possible that that particular combination at the start of the month could in some ways ask you or your partner to change things up a little bit. If you're ready to do that, it could actually be a very good thing for the relationship and reignite that initial passion you first had. And one of the best ways to do that is to be spontaneous in some ways, because although you have a real appreciation of structure, a pattern of life, at times I feel that can steal your passion. So what you're really being encouraged to do at the start of July is really go for it. And the more you can, the more exciting and stimulating life can be. But I have to be honest, once Mercury goes retrograde and the Sun does move into the sign of Leo on the 22nd, if something isn't working, that may be a time that you're really considering what your options should be. But on the 4th, Neptune, the planet of dreams, which entered a deep and psychological part of your scope on the 30th of March, begins a retrograde. Now, of course, Saturn is close by and he follows suit on the 13th. And in the case of Saturn, through to the end of August, he is, like Neptune, going to be retracing his steps in that very deeply psychological area. The 8th house can be where we reimagine a way of being, or it can be where things can come to a close. In a more practical way, it can be about finance. Now, on the 4th, Venus, the planet of relating, moves into a very visible part of your chart. Don't underestimate how much charm can help you to make progress, but particularly if you are applying for a new job, because that compulsion to be more daring at the start of the month doesn't have to be just around your love or social situations. It can definitely be professionally as well. And with Uranus playing catch up with Venus on the 7th, moving into Gemini for 5 months for the first time in 84 years, what an opportunity for you to try something fresh. Because Pluto in retrograde in the sign of Aquarius has been asking you since the end of November last year to perhaps rethink something that has served you well in terms of your work, life routines, or life habits and patterns. But it is asking you to perhaps rethink. So if you have been in a role which has been very stable, perhaps there's paid well, perhaps you've enjoyed it, but if you're really honest, has the passion gone from it? This could be a time over these next 5 months when you do think about doing something completely and utterly different. And I actually feel it would be really very positive for you if that were the case. Now, on the 10th, we have a full moon in the practical and earthy Capricorn, which of course you share that earth triplicity with. But it's linking to the North Node in the relating part of your situation. For you, that position of the moon is very much about joy and your personal self-expression. If a friendship has become a little bit too demanding and you're feeling that the needs of that other person is closing in on your time and ability to express your talents, or to just be a bit more free in what you want to do, perhaps this is also about a relationship, that full moon could certainly give you food for thought, as can Saturn going retrograde on the 13th through to the end of November. If you are working with your long-term finances and you're trying to squeeze more from your assets, as Mercury, your ruler, goes retrograde on the 18th, I think you're going to quarry some information, perhaps even as late as the last day of this month, when Mercury is in Cazimi, an inferior conjunction because of the retrograde, but it could see you becoming much more conscious of a key detail that you've not been aware of, and that could feed into your calculus when it comes to long-term financial planning. But on the 22nd, the Sun returns to its home sign. It loves being in Leo, but for you, this is that part of the year for the following month where you have an opportunity to reflect, recharge and heal. We all need that period of review. The new moon is, however, linking to Uranus, but also in an opposition with Pluto. If you're caught up in any work-based politics, if it's a hostile environment, if there are lots of expectations and demands, but it doesn't seem much salute of your efforts, often very conscientious, that could get you really thinking about what you should do. Fortunately, on the 31st, Venus moves into the friendliest part of your chart and gives you an opportunity to use your connections or have a meeting with someone that could prove to be very interesting, but that meeting may be confidential. You may be doing some deep research with that Mercury Cazimi as the month comes to a close. So essentially, this is a month when you can try some very fresh approaches, but do have the confidence to keep driving them forwards, Virgo, because you may find with the retrograde to Mercury and the Sun moving into Leo and the new moon that suddenly the impulse to change things could go away a little bit, because what you know and what feels familiar could feel safe and secure, but also it could be rather entrapping. So this is definitely a time to be as bold and on the front foot as you possibly can be, and certainly at the start of this month the heavens give you every support to be so. If you'd like to work with me directly and have a particular issue that would benefit from a one-to-one, please see my testimonials below. But also with year 2025 absolutely racing by, you can order your year 2026 personal forecast now, and I'll give you in my special offer the rest of this year free. You'll also get 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, possibly the most important document any of us can ever read, helping us to understand the patterns that are playing out in our lives so far, getting a more intimate understanding of how to work with those energies, and together with the forecast, then timing our moves as best as possible for good outcomes in our situation. Please see the link below for more.